But when collectors realized what it truly was, it shocked the entire coin world. We're talking about the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin so ordinary-looking, yet so rare in its true form, that one example has been valued at up to $1.4 million. It all began over half a century ago. 1971, a year when the U.S. Mint was transitioning its production methods, striking billions of Lincoln cents across three major mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But deep inside the Philadelphia Mint, something went wrong. A small batch of Lincoln pennies left the presses with microscopic details that would one day change everything. No mint mark. Slight doubling. And a flaw so subtle that millions of people spent it without even noticing. For decades, these coins circulated quietly, slipping through pockets, jars, and soda machines, until one collector, searching through an old coffee can full of cents, noticed something strange. The word Liberty looked different. The date seemed slightly off. Under a magnifying glass, the letters appeared doubled, and that tiny imperfection told $1 million story. You see, the 1971 Lincoln penny has a mysterious doubled die obverse, a minting error caused when the die that strikes the coin is accidentally impressed twice, slightly out of alignment. On some 1971 no-mint mark pennies, the doubling is clear on "In God We Trust, Liberty," and even the numbers of the date. That's not just a minor mistake, that's the difference between a common penny and a fortune waiting to be discovered. But here's where it gets fascinating: not all 1971 pennies with no mint mark are valuable. The vast majority are worth 1 cent. However, the few with this rare double die error, especially in uncirculated or proof-like condition, have sold for staggering amounts. One pristine example shocked collectors at auction, fetching nearly $1.4 million. Imagine holding a coin that small, knowing it could change your life forever. Collectors were stunned. Dealers couldn't believe it. Phones rang nonstop at coin shops across the country as people rushed to check their own 1971 pennies. Some brought in jars, others shoeboxes, hoping they too might have the rare one. And with each new discovery, the legend of the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny grew stronger. But what makes this coin even more mysterious is how easy it is to overlook. To the naked eye, it looks like any regular penny, brownish red, slightly worn, Lincoln's face staring ahead. Yet hidden in those tiny letters and numbers lies the clue. Under magnification, you'll see doubling on the inscriptions that no ordinary penny carries. The strike looks thicker, the letters almost ghosted. That's the mark of $1 million treasure hiding in plain sight. And here's something even more incredible: not all doubled dies look identical. Some are strong and crisp, while others are faint and barely visible. That's why so many people miss them. One collector once said, "It's like a hidden fingerprint from the mint itself." And in the coin world, that fingerprint is pure gold. As word spread through the numismatic community, collectors began combing through old rolls of pennies from the 1970s. Estate sales, flea markets, even bank boxes were emptied in search of the legendary 1971 error. Some lucky finders sold theirs for tens of thousands of dollars, but only the most pristine, sharply struck example reached the $1 million mark, forever sealing its place in American coin history. But what happened next stunned everyone. When the 1971 double-die penny hit headlines, thousands began testing their coins at home, using magnifying glasses, phone cameras, even jewelry loupes. And that's when another discovery was made, a secondary variety, lesser known but still rare. Collectors began cataloging every detail: the slope of the lettering, the curve of the one, the slight spread on the Liberty. Every mark mattered. Every detail told a story. Start with the basics. If your penny has no mint mark below the date, meaning it was struck in Philadelphia, look closely at Liberty and "In God We Trust." If the letters appear doubled or thickened, that's your first sign. Then check the date itself. The 1 and 9 may show faint shadows or outlines. If you see that, it's time to grab a magnifier and look deeper. Condition is everything. A 1971 double-die penny in circulated condition might bring hundreds or thousands, but one in mint state, with its luster intact, can reach prices that defy logic. That's the power of rarity, beauty, and history colliding in one small copper coin. Dealers today say the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny remains one of the most sought-after modern cents in American history. And every so often, another one surfaces, found in a coin jar, a drawer, or an old collection forgotten for decades. Each discovery reignites the same excitement, the same awe, the same dream that maybe the next $1,000,000 penny is still out there. Think about it, billions of pennies were made that year. Most are long gone, worn down, or lost. Yet somewhere, perhaps in your home, one rare 1971 penny could be hiding, waiting for someone with a keen eye and a little curiosity to uncover it. Collectors call it the sleeper coin, because it hides in plain sight, unnoticed by almost everyone. But once you see the doubling, once you realize what you're holding, your heart starts racing. Because that simple, ordinary penny just became a life-changing discovery worth a fortune. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or dig through that old jar of change, take a closer look at your 1971 pennies. The one with no mint mark could be more than just a piece of copper. It could be your ticket to a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, worth over $1,000,000. A coin collector in Texas was sorting through his old change jar, a pile of dull, forgotten pennies. But one coin caught his eye. It looked ordinary, yet something about the D mint mark and the date, 1984, felt different. That single penny, tossed aside decades ago, would soon be revealed as one of the most valuable Lincoln cents in history, worth up to $1.5 million. This coin almost ended up in a Coinstar machine. But instead, it became a legend. The 1984 D mint mark Lincoln penny, a tiny copper coin that's driving collectors wild. Why? Because it hides a rare error that almost no one ever spots until it's too late. An error so strange, so perfectly accidental, it changed the coin world forever. The year was 1984. The Denver Mint was producing hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents, ordinary coins meant for everyday circulation. But amid all that machinery, one die, one single die, had a flaw. It created a doubling effect on the obverse side of the coin, the side showing Lincoln's face. This wasn't your average doubling, it was deep, sharp, and dramatic. Collectors call it a double die verse. When light hits this coin just right, Lincoln's ear appears doubled, two perfectly distinct earlobes. Some even call it the double ear Lincoln. To most people, it looks like a trick of the light. But to trained eyes, it's a golden ticket worth thousands, and in pristine condition, it can skyrocket to a value nearing $1.5 million. But what makes this story even more unbelievable is how it was discovered. The first known 1984 D double die penny didn't surface until years after its minting. It was found not in a collector's vault, but in loose change. Imagine the shock. Someone handed it over for a pack of gum, and the cashier unknowingly received a $1,000,000 penny. Word spread quickly among coin enthusiasts. Dealers scrambled to verify the discovery. The doubling on Lincoln's ear was so clean, so precise, that some experts thought it was a hoax. But it wasn't. It was real, a minting mishap that turned an everyday coin into a piece of history. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. As collectors began examining their old 1984 D pennies, more and more examples started turning up. Each discovery fueled the fire. Some sold for hundreds, others for thousands. And one, graded in nearly perfect condition, shattered expectations at auction, reaching a jaw-dropping six-figure price tag. Think about that for a moment. A coin that most people wouldn't bend down to pick up off the sidewalk, now worth more than a luxury car. That's the magic, and madness, of the coin world. One tiny flaw, one misdetail, can turn copper into gold. But here's the twist, not all 1984 D pennies are valuable. Most are worth just 1 cent. The fortune lies only in those with the unmistakable double die on Lincoln's ear. The second earlobe must be clear and fully formed. Anything less, and it's just a regular penny. So, how can you tell if you've got the real deal? Hold the coin under a good light. Tilt it slightly. Focus on Lincoln's ear. You're looking for a clear doubling, almost like he's wearing two earlobes stacked slightly apart. Check his eye and chin, too, minor doubling can appear there as well. If you see that extra ear, don't dismiss it. You might just be holding a piece of history. Collectors are desperate to find one in mint state, untouched, flawless, glowing with original luster. Those are the coins that can reach truly life-changing prices. Imagine sending it off for grading, waiting weeks in suspense, then opening the results to see MS-67 red stamped across the label. That's when your penny transforms from pocket change to a treasure worth hundreds of thousands, even pushing toward that million-dollar dream. Every day, coin shops, auction houses, and online marketplaces are buzzing with rumors of the next big 1984D discovery. Some say there are still hundreds of these hidden across the country, buried in old jars, hidden in coffee cans, or resting quietly in your dresser drawer. But here's what most people don't realize. The 1984D double die isn't just a collector's item, it's a symbol. It reminds us that even the smallest, most ordinary things in life can hide something extraordinary. A 1-cent coin that defied the odds, survived decades of circulation, and now stands as a million-dollar miracle. So, before you spend that handful of pennies, take one more look. Check every 1984D mint mark you come across. Study Lincoln's ear closely. Because somewhere out there, waiting to be found, could be your ticket to an unbelievable discovery, a single penny worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. The story of the 1984D Lincoln penny is more than just about money. It's about mystery, luck, and the thrill of discovery. One man's pocket change became a collector's dream. And the next one could be yours. A 1967 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, the kind most people would spend without a second glance. But one collector's ordinary coin turned out to be worth up to $1.70 million, and the story behind it still gives experts chills. This coin almost ended up tossed in a parking lot, but what one man discovered under a magnifying glass turned the coin world upside down. 1967, a year filled with change, literally. The U.S. Mint was in chaos after years of silver coin shortages, so to save time, they dropped mint marks altogether. Every coin struck that year had no mint mark. To most people, that meant nothing. But hidden among millions of ordinary pennies, a few rare 1967 no mint mark Lincoln cents were struck in ways the mint never intended. Collectors call them the ghost errors, coins that escaped into circulation with mistakes so subtle, they can only be seen by those who truly look. And that's what makes the 1967 penny such a legend. One collector in California bought a small batch of old pennies at a garage sale for $2. When he got home, he noticed something odd about one. The color was off, almost golden. Under a microscope, he realized it wasn't struck on the usual copper planchet. This 1967 penny had been mistakenly struck on a brass foreign coin blank. That tiny error turned what was worth 1 cent into a coin now valued at over $1 million. But that's not all. Another example shocked even the grading experts at PCGS. They found a 1967 Lincoln penny with an ultra-rare double die obverse. Lincoln's face and the words, "In God We Trust," appeared twice, slightly overlapped. The doubling was so crisp, so clear, that it looked like a shadow frozen in metal. That single coin, authenticated and graded, was estimated to be worth over $1.7 million at auction. Collectors were stunned. Dealers couldn't believe it. How could a penny most people ignored for decades suddenly become one of the most sought-after treasures in American coin history? But the story doesn't end there. Another mysterious version of the 1967 penny surfaced, one with a mirror-like proof finish. Proof coins from 1967 were never supposed to enter circulation. Yet somehow, a few slipped through the mint's hands. Their flawless, reflective surfaces made them look almost unreal, like a coin from another dimension. These proof-struck 1967 no-mint mark pennies have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and experts believe a perfect example could easily fetch more than $1 million today. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A Midwest collector, a retired postal worker, discovered his childhood coin jar contained one of these 1967 rarities. He'd saved it for over 50 years, thinking it was just a keepsake from his youth. When it was graded by NGC, the results came back: nearly perfect condition, full red luster, and a rare off-metal strike. Offers poured in instantly, one exceeding $1.6 million. That man's ordinary penny became a once-in-a-lifetime miracle. This tiny coin holds a massive story of history, luck, and hidden value. The reason it's worth so much isn't just rarity, it's survival. Most 1967 pennies were mass-produced, handled roughly, and worn down. Very few remain in pristine mint state condition. Those that do, especially with rare errors, are now the holy grail of Lincoln cents. But here's the catch: millions of ordinary 1967 pennies still exist, and almost all of them look alike. The only way to know if you've struck gold is to look closer. Look for doubling on the date, the words Liberty and In God We Trust. If the letters look slightly shadowed or overlapped, you might be staring at a double die worth a fortune. Another detail to check: the color and weight. A true copper 1967 penny weighs about 3.11 grams. But if your coin is lighter or has a strange golden or bronze tint, it could have been struck on the wrong planchet, one intended for a foreign coin. Those errors are incredibly rare and can bring hundreds of thousands or even $1 million in auctions. Collectors are rushing to recheck their old jars, coffee cans, and dresser drawers. Many of these coins have been hiding in plain sight for decades, waiting for someone with a sharp eye and a bit of luck. Think about it: every single 1967 penny you've ever spent, found, or ignored might carry history's most expensive mistake. The difference between 1 cent and $1 million could be sitting right there in your hand. And the best part? The US Mint never marked these coins. There's no D, no S, nothing, which means any no mint marked 1967 penny could be the jackpot. You just have to know what to look for. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't ignore that old penny. Don't assume it's worthless. Tilt it under the light. Look for doubling. Check its color. Weigh it. That single coin could hold the same hidden secret that's made collectors millionaires overnight. But what he found that morning changed everything. A dull-looking penny, dated 1973, no mint mark, and seemingly worthless, turned out to be $1 million treasure. Most people would have spent it without a second glance. But this man didn't. Something about the coin's color, its texture, felt different. He took a closer look, and that single moment of curiosity led him straight into one of the greatest discoveries in coin history. Collectors across the country couldn't believe it. A 1973 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, hiding a rare minting flaw so subtle that even seasoned experts had overlooked it for decades. What made this coin special wasn't just its date or missing letter, it was what lay beneath the surface, a clue to a minting mystery buried in US history. But before we reveal what made this coin worth up to $1.8 million, you need to understand why this small, copper-colored cent stunned the entire numismatic world. In 1973, the US Mint was experimenting with materials, trying to cut costs as copper prices soared. Most pennies were struck in pure copper, but a few, by pure accident, were struck on leftover bronze planchets from previous years. These coins had slightly different weights, tones, and surfaces, and when paired with a missing mint mark, they became one of the most elusive errors in modern coinage. What's shocking is that no one at the mint caught it. These rare errors slipped right through inspection and into circulation, where they were spent like ordinary change. For years, they passed through vending machines, piggy banks, and cashier drawers, their secret value hiding in plain sight. But what happened next stunned everyone. A collector at an estate sale stumbled upon a small jar of old coins. Inside, among dozens of worn pennies, was a single 1973 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, darker and heavier than the rest. When he brought it to a professional grading service, experts were left speechless. The scale didn't lie. The weight was slightly higher than standard. The color revealed traces of a bronze composition no longer used that year. Under magnification, the details were crisper, the relief deeper, the hallmark of an early die strike from a special batch. The verdict? An ultra-rare transitional error, and the only known example in mint state condition. News spread like wildfire. Coin forums lit up. Collectors everywhere began emptying jars, tearing open rolls, and searching their change for a 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Dealers were flooded with inquiries. And at auction, the verified specimen fetched an eye-watering price, $1.8 million. Because the absence of that tiny D or S letter wasn't just a missing detail, it was proof that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint during a transitional period, possibly with leftover materials not meant for circulation. That combination, the wrong planchet, the missing mint mark, and pristine condition, created one of the rarest modern errors ever found. Collectors call it a once-in-a-generation coin. Experts say it's as rare as lightning striking twice. And for the lucky owner, it was more than luck, it was destiny sealed in metal. But what makes this story even more unbelievable is that other examples could still be out there. That's right, the mint never confirmed exactly how many escaped. Some estimates suggest fewer than 5 exist, while others believe dozens may still be sitting unnoticed in coin collections or change jars. So here's what to look for if you want to find your own $1 million penny. Start with any 1973 Lincoln cent. Check the front. If there's no mint mark under the date, you've cleared the first test. Then, feel its weight. A normal copper coin weighs about 3.11 grams, but this rare bronze transitional error often tips slightly higher. Look for a rich, reddish-brown tone, darker than the standard copper alloy. And finally, inspect the details: sharp edges, full lines on the Lincoln Memorial, and no signs of machine doubling. But here's the catch: thousands of regular 1973 pennies without a mint mark exist. Only the ones struck on the wrong planchet or with specific die characteristics are worth life-changing money. That's why getting it authenticated by a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC is crucial. Without that certification, even a $1 million coin can look ordinary to the untrained eye. Imagine it for a moment: a penny sitting in your old coin jar, forgotten for decades. Maybe it's one you've had since childhood, or one that's been passed down in your family. That one coin could be your ticket to $1.8 million, waiting patiently to be discovered. Collectors still whisper about the man who found his fortune in loose change. He said, "I almost spent it. I almost didn't look twice." That's the beauty of these stories. They remind us that history hides in the smallest places, and sometimes, treasure doesn't shine, it hides behind a faint copper glow. So before you spend your next penny, take a closer look. Check the date, feel the weight, and remember this story. Because one small detail could mean the difference between a single cent and a life-changing fortune. But it shocked collectors across America when it sold for nearly $1 million. A 2001 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin so ordinary-looking that millions of people spent it without ever realizing what they had. But one lucky person saw what others missed, and that tiny detail turned a single cent into a life-changing fortune. Back in 2001, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia produced billions of Lincoln Memorial cents. Most were struck perfectly, shining in that classic copper color we all recognize. But among those billions, a few slipped through the cracks, coins struck with rare, almost invisible minting errors that transformed them into million-dollar treasures. And the strangest part? They don't have a mint mark. Just a smooth, clean space beneath the date. At first glance, there's nothing unusual about it. But when collectors started examining these coins under magnification, something didn't add up. The details on the Lincoln portrait seemed ever so slightly doubled, the letters had a ghostly shadow, and the finish looked different, almost proof-like. Word spread quietly through the coin world, and soon, rumors began swirling about a 2001 penny worth of fortune. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A collector from Pennsylvania found one of these 2001 no-mint mark pennies in a roll he'd bought from a local bank. He thought it looked off, so he sent it to be graded. When the results came back, experts were floored. The coin had a rare double die obverse, a striking error so crisp and dramatic that it looked like a 3D illusion under light. Even more astonishing, the coin was graded in near-perfect condition, making it one of the rarest known examples from that year. The story made headlines in collector circles. Dealers began scouring their inventory, banks were overwhelmed by people exchanging pennies by the thousands, and social media buzzed with photos of 2001 cents under magnifying glasses. Some laughed it off, others thought it was just hype. But then, that same coin went to auction, and the final hammer price? Just under $1 million. Collectors were speechless. How could a coin minted in the 2000s, barely 2 decades old, be worth that kind of money? The answer lies in a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and timing. You see, in the world of numismatics, it's not just about age, it's about perfection and error. A flawless strike with a dramatic die variety can be worth far more than a century-old coin if it's unique enough. But here's the part most people miss. The 2001 no-mint mark penny wasn't just valuable because of its doubling. Some examples were accidentally struck on a leftover 95% copper planchet, the same kind used before 1982, when pennies were heavier and more reddish in tone. These rare copper strikes from 2001 shouldn't exist at all. Yet a few have surfaced, creating one of the most shocking modern coin discoveries in decades. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. He said he almost spent it at a gas station before a gut feeling made him look closer. Imagine a single cent saving someone from debt, paying off their house, or changing their life forever. That's the magic of these unexpected treasures hiding in plain sight. But there's more. A handful of 2001 pennies show another mysterious feature, a slight doubling in the word, liberty, and in Lincoln's eye, so faint that only under strong light does it reveal itself. Experts believe this came from a worn die that was accidentally used too long. Instead of being replaced, it kept striking coins for a few hours, creating a small batch of error pennies that escaped into circulation before anyone noticed. And yet, every few years, another one pops up. Usually discovered in a jar of old coins, or during a casual roll hunt. Each time, collectors rush to verify it, wondering if lightning struck twice. Could theirs be another one worth hundreds of thousands, maybe even $1 million? But what makes this story so incredible is how easily these coins go unnoticed. The 2001 no-mint mark penny looks exactly like any other, unless you know what to look for. That's why experts say this is one of the most dangerous coins to ignore. Because its value hides in the smallest of details: a faint doubling, a slightly heavier weight, a sharper rim, or an unusually bright copper sheen. Genuine examples of these rare 2001 errors are among the most sought-after modern pennies in existence. Collectors will pay nearly anything to get one in mint-state condition, especially those verified by top grading services like PCGS or NGC. But what's truly haunting is the thought of how many might still be out there, sitting quietly in drawers, jars, and change cups. Think about it, billions of 2001 pennies were made, but just a handful could be worth over $1 million. What are the odds one might be in your possession right now? First, check for a missing mint mark under the date. That's your starting clue. Then, inspect the coin under strong light. Look carefully at Liberty, in God We Trust, and Lincoln's Eye for signs of doubling. If you see faint shadows or ghost-like outlines, you might have a double die. Next, weigh the coin. A genuine modern zinc penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. But if yours weighs closer to 3.1 grams, you could have one of the ultra-rare copper planchet strikes from 2001. Finally, check the condition. A clean, uncirculated example is far more valuable than a worn one. If yours looks sharp with strong details and minimal scratches, don't hesitate. Get it authenticated immediately. Because history has already proven that these coins exist. And for the lucky few who find one, the reward can reach life-changing heights. Collectors were stunned when a simple penny from 2001 sold for nearly $1 million. And who knows, maybe the next one is already sitting in your pocket right now. A coin so ordinary, most people would never look twice. But one man's careful eye turned a single 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln penny into a life-changing discovery, worth up to $1.1 million. It all began with a simple trip to the grocery store. Change was handed back, nothing unusual. A handful of dull, copper-colored cents. But among them, one coin looked just a little different. Slightly heavier, slightly older looking. That man took it home, cleaned his glasses, and stared closer. What he saw would shake the entire coin collecting world. The year was 1982, a turning point in American coin history. For decades, Lincoln pennies had been made from solid copper. But rising copper prices forced the U.S. Mint to make a dramatic change that year, switching to cheaper zinc coins coated in a thin layer of copper. The switch was supposed to be simple. But mistakes were made. In the chaos of the transition, some of the older copper blanks were accidentally mixed in with the new zinc planchets. As a result, a handful of 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies were struck in solid copper, when they were never supposed to exist. Only a few slipped out before anyone noticed. And those few are now worth a fortune. Collectors were stunned when the first ones surfaced. Experts couldn't believe it. The weight, the sound, the feel of pure copper, all in a year that was supposed to mark the end of an era. One of these 1982 no-mint mark copper pennies sold at auction for an eye-watering $18,000. Then another appeared and broke records again. But the real shock came when a pristine, uncirculated version surfaced, and collectors estimated its value at over $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. More people began checking their old change, their childhood jars, their piggy banks. Stories spread across the country. People finding strange 1982 pennies, rushing to weigh them, and realizing they might be holding something extraordinary. The U.S. Mint itself eventually confirmed there were multiple variations of the 1982 penny, 7, to be exact, because of the switch from copper to zinc and changes in lettering. But one variety, the 1982 no-mint mark copper penny with small date lettering, became the holy grail. The one that could make someone a millionaire. Here's where most people make a mistake. They see 1982 and think they've struck gold, but only one very specific version carries that million-dollar potential. You need to check two things: the weight and the date style. Take a digital scale. A zinc penny weighs about 2.5 grams. But if yours weighs around 3.1 grams, congratulations, it's made of copper. That's your first clue. Next, look closely at the date. On the small date version, the top of the 8 sits slightly higher than the 9 and the 2. The numbers look thinner and more delicate compared to the bold, chunky numbers of the large date version. If you see both signs, no mint mark, small date, and that heavier copper weight, you could be staring at a penny worth up to $1.1 million. Collectors are racing to find these. Dealers are offering thousands even for damaged ones. And stories keep emerging. A man in Ohio found one in his late father's coin jar and sold it for enough to pay off his house. Another collector discovered one hiding in a roll of pennies he'd bought from the bank for 50 cents. That roll turned out to be worth more than most people earn in a year. But the reason this coin is so captivating goes beyond money. It's about luck, history, and timing, three forces colliding to create a modern-day treasure hunt. The 1982 penny marked the end of the copper era, the birth of the zinc penny, and the creation of a mistake so rare it changed lives. The odds of finding one are slim, but not impossible. After all, these coins were never meant to exist, yet a few escaped into circulation. They could be sitting anywhere, in your drawer, in your car, or in that old coin jar you've ignored for years. Not all valuable 1982 pennies show their worth at first glance. Some have faint doubling on the letters, Liberty, or In God We Trust, a sign of a die error that can multiply the coin's value dramatically. Others have slight color differences, a deeper, reddish tone that signals true copper rather than the dull shine of zinc. If you find one that meets all those clues, small date, no mint mark, 3.1 grams, don't spend it. Don't even clean it. Place it gently in a protective sleeve and take it to a trusted coin dealer or grading service like PCGS or NGC. A professional authentication could be the moment you realize you're holding a $1 million miracle. Imagine that. A coin you might have dropped into a vending machine years ago, a coin worth more than most luxury cars. It's not just about luck, it's about paying attention, about knowing that even the smallest details can hide incredible stories. This is what makes the world of coins so powerful. Every piece of metal tells a story of time, mistakes, and human history. The 1982 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny isn't just a coin, it's a reminder that even the most ordinary things can hold extraordinary value. So before you toss your spare change, look again. That dull, old penny could be pure copper. It could be the missing treasure collectors have been searching for. And yes, it could be worth over $1 million. Because somewhere out there, sitting quietly in someone's pocket, is another 1982 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, waiting to change a life forever.